G'day everybody, Simon here, Explosive Action. I'm back with another video. This time I've got 15 OG metal CDs to take a look at, so let's get into it. This episode of Explosive Action is brought to you by Blacksound Records. Blacksound Records is a record store located in Melbourne, Australia, specialising in underground metal, punk, noise, experimental and everything in between. Blacksound offers fast and free delivery options across Australia, New Zealand and the world. Explosive Action viewers can get 5% off their first order using the code EXPLOSIVE05 at checkout. As a reminder, videos such as these can be watched early if you join the channel for 99 cents a month. Link is down there below, and if you join, it'll just make you feel really good. So I've got 15 CDs here, 15.
That's not entirely accurate.
Make sure you watch to the end of this video because I picked up some incredibly rare death metal CDs from Egg Records you're going to want to see. This collection's been slowly growing over probably about 5 months or so. I've just been wanting to get a decent amount here of representative, original press, mostly 90s metal CDs. Excuse me, and a couple of early 2000s in here as well. But it's all original press stuff, and I love this stuff. I'm so stoked to get these things. Some of them are just like cream of the crop kind of stuff that, I've got through trades on Facebook. I've got through secondhand sales on some distros, things like that. And it's just some amazing stuff. So we're going to get right into it with a bit of the newer. When I say newer, it's still 25 years old, but it's a new band to me as well. And that is, and I'm looking a little bit, I don't know how I'm going to show this one. I'll show like that. I think I can get away with that. Lust of Decay, Infesting the Exhumed, which is the one behind it, and Kingdom of Corpses. This is, a techie brutal death band from turn of the century. After finally discovering sort of Mortal Decay earlier this year, about 6 months ago, 9 months ago maybe, I definitely started being on the lookout for more, the sort of 99, 2000, 98, 99, 2000, that kind of stuff, brutal death, sometimes the brutal, slightly technical death metal. There was a real era of that stuff, and if I missed Mortal Decay somehow, well, I've clearly missed others that are worth quality, like really stuff I want to check out. And this is one band that I found, Lust of Decay. I tripped over these two releases on the same time. Even the name Lust of Decay is similar to Mortal Decay. I mean, yeah, it just kind of happened. These guys are from North Carolina, and it was really scratching that itch for that brutal kind of like early dying fetus, malignancy, broken hope, that kind of stuff. But it has that perverted edge, like lividity, even some skinless, lollipop tampons and all that kind of stuff. My God. The album opener on this one, which I can't really show you because the covers, it's a drawing, but YouTube's getting funny with these things. The album opening on that one has got like sample of like a woman moaning, all that kind of erotic stuff. The song titles and the imagery are just filth. I'll try and show you some. But it has a technicality of sort of early Deeds of Flesh. The first EP, first album, has that gore-soaked sort of bree vocals I was looking for, but not the way over the top like 2005 Russian slam band bree, not that kind of stuff. Just the stuff they were doing turn of the century was just brutal and down. Really good stuff. So we've got two here. Infesting the Exhumed from 2002. Little bit of that. I guess can't. It's just a pain. Can I show the back? Let me show the back of that one. Infesting the Exhumed from 2002. That's the most brutal of the two of them, I'd say. And then this one, which I can show more of, which is Kingdom of Corpses from 2004, increases the technicality. Very similar to what Deeds were doing. Just getting a little bit more technical. It's not like tech death or anything like that. They were just getting better, getting more improved. But both are really, really good time capsules of that period of time in brutal death, that kind of malignancy kind of stuff. This is on Comatose Records, who I'd not heard of, but very interestingly, out of nowhere, when I was just doing a little bit of research for this vid, I realized that the band got back together And in December, that just passed, released a new album. And they updated band photo, a bunch of old guys, as you'd expect. And it came out in December, and I played a sample of it, and it sounded pretty decent. So I've put it in order. We'll see what happens with that. Very curious to check that one out. After 25 years, 20 years or so since their last one, there's one in between. There's a third one from 2006 or so. I'd be on lookout for. But yeah, we'll see if I can. Excuse me again. If I can look in here, get away with some of it. So there's the CD and the booklet. I absolutely cannot show. I mean, if I could show you that bit, and if you've been around the internet, the old rotten.com days, you already know what that image is, and that's as much as I can show you. But yeah, booklet of guys looking brutal in immolation shirts, bright green fonts on coloured backgrounds. Like, this is just what the era was. Wearing his own band shirt, amazing. Yes, this is really, really good, really enjoyable. And like I said, the first is the most brutal of the two. The second is most technical. There's the band again. Again, just look at. I love the layouts of this time period. They're just so. I don't want to say bodgy, but I mean, look at this bright red on. I can't read a word of it. Look at that, amazing. It is kind of bodgy, but it's great. Great stuff. So yeah, Lust of Decay, not Mortal Decay, but a band that was completely new to me. And yeah, really enjoyed it. I've spun them about 5 times each so far, so really, really good stuff. Lust of Decay. Next up, I was thrilled to pick up this 2003 CDN Records reissue, that one in particular, of Rotting the Forgotten. Goes for a pretty penny, this one. This was a band from Canada, and well, I shouldn't say from, I should say are from Canada, because they appear to be back, just like Lust of Decay after 25 years. Rotting appear to be back again. There you go. But this compilation of the first album, their only album, is called Crushed, and it's awesome. This is all the stuff before that, demos, EPs, that kind of thing. Originally, the band self-released it in 2000 on CDR, which is not what I want to get. 25-year-old CDR, the chances of it even working. But I wanted the proper CD version, the reissue that came out a little bit later. And the tracks are slightly different, but not enough to really worry you. This has got the 1995 Drowning in Rotten Flesh demo, which is really good. The 1993 Christ Crusher demo, great name, Christ Crusher. Some newer tracks from about 2000. What the CDR version has is 2 1990 demo tracks that are not here for whatever reason. Maybe the quality wasn't good enough. I don't know, but they're not on here, so there you go. But in either case, this is a really good time capsule of what Rotting sounded like before Crushed. Now, they're a Canadian band, and by the time Crushed came out, they were well into sort of the gore guts territory, getting quite brutal, but also getting more complex. Here, they're a lot more stripped back, it's got to be said. And as we go back in time, it's even more, like you can see the roots of the band and their inspirations a lot easier. So, the 93 tracks sound like Death and Gutted. It's just pretty obvious. The 95 tracks sound more like Baphomet. But by 98, they're up there with like Gore Guts and Beheaded. So, yeah, really good. I do prefer Crushed. I know a lot of people prefer the demo stuff. I do prefer Crushed, but it's really great to have all this stuff. I like their logo too. And again, this 2000 time period, I mean, this whole thing looks like that first Vile album. Bright green, just emboss it. Oh, beautiful, just beautiful. Yeah, CDN Records. There's the band looking tough. Take a look in. We get just a very simple booklet there for those about to rot. And band photo. So yeah, really good stuff. Played this one about 5 times as well. Like I said, some of these have been kicking around for a little bit. Probably got this one about 3 months ago, and have been enjoying it. The Forgotten from Rotting. Yeah, great stuff if you can find it. Speaking of Canada, here is a dead set classic from 1996. Just outrageously good. This is Kataklysm with Temple of Knowledge, which is Kataklysm Part 3, Temple of Knowledge. Following Sorcery, which is, I guess, Part 2, and Part 1 was probably the Retribution, whatever it was, the EP, which I forget the name of. But, wow, this This is very unique. It always was really unique and a lot more technical and crazy than I remember. Sylvian Howd, is it Howd? How you say his name? Sylvian Howd. We'll go with that. He's pictured in the pentagram. His vocals, man, they were always a thing to behold. But on this one, he sounds like he's backmasked them like half the time. Just outrageous. It's so crazy. But you know, this whole album is amazing. The tracks on here are just fantastic. Everybody I think has probably seen the video clip for The Awakener, track 7. That's one of the best things you'll ever see. But really, Kataklysm, it's just a crying shame, right? And here's my little rant, and it's not a completely unexpected rant, but everything the band did after this album is complete horseshit. They just turned into Molcore. It was very quick, like overnight. Like Sylvian, apparently, I don't know, had lots of issues. I think, according to Metal Archives, he had girlfriend troubles. It was bleeding over into the band. He left the band, or the band let him go, something like that. We shouldn't explain the change in musical styles. It should change the vocalist, perhaps. But, geez, he must have had a lot more influence because the riffs after this are just garbage. Sorry. And they're popular. I mean, they're a huge friggin' nuclear blast death metal band, but this is where they stopped. I bought Victims of This Fallen World when it came out because it was a new Kataklysm. That was like, I bought the earlier stuff, and we'll get into why I'm getting this one back. But anyway, I bought the earlier stuff, loved it, and new one was coming. Internet days, like, oh, can't wait, here it comes, order it, put it on there. Bouncy, jigger, vocalist is terrible. The cover was horrible. Oh, it made me very, very sad. Very sad, very disappointing. The band is still going, like I said. They've signed that standard Nuclear Blast contract. They're just, it's just bland core. I don't know what else to call it. It's really average. And like I said, it doesn't really make sense because the guitarist is still the same. It's the same guy since day one. He's still there, doing the riffs. But I don't know. Sylvian must have been injecting something in here as well. Or, I don't know, maybe he was holding them back from their desire to be generic core. I don't know. I really don't know what the go is. But, yeah, not a fan of anything past this. But this album rules. This is pure Canadian chaos. They knew what they're doing here. The video clip for The Awakener, like I said, is one of the best things you will ever see. It even has self-referential end lyrics on it. The last line is by the words of the ecclesiastic Howd, referencing his name. Sure. The third track, Point of Evanescence, not that band, but the Point of Evanescence has a very Alf Svensson sounding riff on it, which just makes sense when you listen to this era of Kataklysm. Yeah, amazing stuff. Now, look, I had this CD back, when I was buying the original CDs and stuff, and I had Sorcery. And I have these vague memories of letting it go. Just keeping Sorcery, which is the less unhinged of the two. All I can think of really is to quote Marty McFly, maybe you kids aren't ready for that yet. That's all I can think of. I must let it go, just go, oh Christ, this is just chaos, I don't like it. Except for The Awakener. I always loved The Awakener. It was on Death is Just the Beginning at number 4, and it is the most straightforward track on the album. But the rest of this thing now with these ears, this is my favorite Kataklysm. This trumps Sorcery. This is amazing. I'm so glad to have it back. It's very hard to get this sort of original digipack, even the original jewel case. Very hard to get. So I was very happy to finally pick it up again. And like I said, this is very much the end of the band for me. But what I would like to see, what I would love to see, is a nice CD compilation of, on Dark Symphonies, The Crypt, something like that, of the Deathgate demo they did, the Vortex demo that came after it, and the Vision the Chaos EP. That's what we need. That's what the world needs right now. And I looked on Discogs, you can, I think one of the shittier later albums, like Epic or something, has got the demo tracks at the end. Meh. Don't care. I want a nice compilation of all the early demo stuff before the first EP on Nuclear Blast. That would round out this band's 6-year career because they don't exist after 6 years. And yeah, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Kataklysm, Temple of Knowledge. It's outstanding, it's amazing, and it's essential Canadian death metal. Next up, we have an incredibly rare Australian band and album. This has taken me quite literally 2.5 decades to pick this thing up, and that is Killengod with Transcendial Consciousness. Oof. Transcendial Consciousness. Hard to say, but man, not hard to get into. This is outstanding Queensland death metal. I never thought about a landed copy of this thing, but there was one on Discog. There's been a couple on Australian Discogs, okay, and people know what it's worth. But one guy had it for the lowest of the high prices, but he had make an offer. I was feeling cheeky. I chucked in not quite a low ball, but towards the lower end of the Discogs range, something I thought was reasonable, and he'd be happy and I'd be happy, and he accepted it. So yeah, I was stoked to get this for a lot less than it sometimes people are at least trying to get for it. But yeah, I don't expect many people outside of the mid-late 90s Australian death metal scene would really know Killengod. They did 2 albums, this one, and the one that's after it, Into the Ancient Moon in 98, I think. This one came out in 95. Both on Warhead Records. There's the back, Warhead Records logo, a label you might know if you know, say, Lord Chaos with their Thorns of Impurity album, most of the Misery early albums, Armored Angel, Angel of the Sixth Order, like a whole bunch of good stuff was on Warhead. And some of that, like Angel of the Sixth Order, at least people outside of Australia know. Misery, the Crypt and Dark Symphonies keep reissuing their stuff, so Misery got out there. What happened to Killengod? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't really know what happened, to be honest. But this was like a local version, Brisbane, Queensland specifically, of Deicide. It's they're not trying to be anything else here. There's no two ways about it. This is early first 2 album Deicide worship, leaning towards the first, I'd say, complete with the Glenn sort of dual vocal approach, which is really good. The good cop, bad cop stuff. Bit of Sinister Cross the Sticks in here as well for a bit of Euro flavor. It just rules. This thing is so good. I've played it about 8 times since I picked it up, and the damn thing's mint. So, yeah, I did swap out the case. The case that came in was very, very 1995 and needed some help, so I got a nice shiny case for it. But all the inners are original. Disc is in perfect condition, yeah. So I had the successor, Into the Ancient Moon. I got that as a promo. It's the proper disc, but I got it as here's a freebie back in my old reviewing days in 98, 99. When I had a very, very, very early internet webzine. I got a copy of that, and I've had it ever since. It's great. But even back then, I remember going, I should get the first album. I mean, that's also, not long after that, Warhead just shut down. The Hammer House in Parramatta shut down, and that was the end of it. I remember there was a clearing out sale at Warhead. I don't remember seeing this on there. I remember buying a shitload of 7 inches for like $3 each. Yeah, that was a real shame when they shut down. But it's great. I'm thrilled to have it. I've got both of their albums. They've never been reissued. 1 CD each. That's it. Killengod, man. They're just good. I don't know, if it's going to speak to people outside of Australia. I think it should. I mean, if you really just like 1995, you like Deicide, you like Sinister, there's a lot here to love. There's the cover. I love the hand-drawn kind of thing. Just, some nice lyrics. Yeah. Thanks list. There's actually a little quote here I've never read. Obviously, the planet cannot stand the burden of billions of people who are trying to satisfy the inner cravings, the material consumption due to this religious onslaught. Time has come to think for yourself and escape the prison of prayer. I love it. Great. Yep. It's a great little album. What do I prefer, this one or the second one? I don't know. I've been belting this one so much that I think probably this one. Nice and shiny. Yeah. Killengod, Transcendual Consciousness. I think I did it better that time. Debut album from Brisbane's Killengod. Next up, we have the 3rd album from Wisconsin band Morta Skuld, For All Eternity. This is perhaps my personal favorite from the band. I've got the first 2 albums as well. Yeah, this is the 1995 Peaceful Press. I got it for a really good price, original press, and Yep, stoked to have this one. The first three albums from this band always strike me as like a more interesting, slightly more technical obituary mixed with brutality. Definitely a lot of brutality. Solid, dominating riffs, just big, mid-pace, chunky, dun dun dun, dun, like just great riffs on this thing. Lots of double bass all the way through it, so I love it because of that. Purely from sort of like the musical angle of this thing, you could just, you could put this CD on to a normie and go, "This is death metal," and you've covered a lot of the bases. I think it's just a great example of it. Yep, this is '90s death metal. Bam, Morta Skuld for all eternity. Kind of explains most of it. Um, it's crushing without being sort of obnoxiously so, like it's not 98, 99. It's got very heavy grooves that are very catchy. It's got loud bass rumbling in there. The vocals are just about discernible as they were in that kind of time period. Um, and yeah, it's just fantastic. I always remember the fourth album though, Surface. I don't have that. I remember it being a letdown. I remember putting it on in shop out here. There was more than one. There was three of these shops called Red Eye Records. Now there's only one, but there was one I went to that only sold used stuff. I used to live in there, buy a lot of things in there, and they had a hearing station. Like you put your headphones on, give them the disc, put the headphones on, and I remember seeing Surface there, putting it on and going, "This isn't good." And we're talking like 2004, something like that. And I remember it not being good, but I've got the more taste again for Morta Skuld. This has really got me back in the mood. So I will give it a listen online and see if it's worth tracking down. If you like Surface, let me know. But this one's awesome. And like I said, I've got the first two albums. I got them in this nice Peaceville early reissue from like mid '90s as well. That has the two albums on one. Two discs. You get two separate discs. It's not just one CD. I wouldn't have bought it if it was one of those jam it all into one CDs, but two CDs in a nice two-disc set. It's a great little way of getting the original first two albums. But here we are. Yeah, this is great. I love the cover on this one too. Pull it out, get a better look. There you go. Nice artwork. Their logo is always a little bit cheesy. Got to be said. There's the band. Very cool. And yeah, it's got the Music for Nations distribution on there as well. But yeah, there you go. Standard black and white. At least I can read this one. More spooky looking band. Good stuff. Morta Skuld. I don't know what a Morta Skuld is. But yeah. What I do know is that this album rules. Stoked to have it. If you just love that mid '90s death metal, like, okay, no one's going to argue with it. Like 90, 91, 92 is like the golden era, but there was still great stuff in like 95. This is an example of it. Love it. Morta Skuld for all eternity. So anyone that knows me and that anyone that's watched this channel for any long period of time will probably know that Carcass is my favorite band. Necroticism is my favorite album. And that extends into, I did a video on Carcass worship bands, Carcass clones. I was really happy with that one. And one of the bands I mentioned is this one, and I finally picked up their second album. This is Golem with The Second Moon. Great, unexpected cover on this, but yeah, Germany's Golem, this German band, 1996, they did the album Eternity, The Weeping Horizons. I've had that since probably about 98. That's just a hallmark of necroticism worship. Like, that completely owns that sound. It's an amazing. I've always loved that album. In '99, though, they followed up with this one, The Second Moon, which I've never managed to track down. It's more of the same, but adding maybe just a touch of heartwork in there, just a touch of heartwork, and really, I got to say, really nailing Bill's guitar tone from necroticism here. But like the 1999 version of it, it's just a bit more bigger, I suppose, a bit more cleaner than 92, 91, 92. Just, the years have moved on, but it's the same tone. It sounds so good. Where Golem obviously differentiate here to Carcass is there's no pathological messaging, graphics, anything going on here. Lyrically, and even this image here of what the hell's going on there. It's the occult. That's like alien landing site or something. Worship stones. There's a moon up there. Like, it's all the occult, and just darkness and stories and things like that. A lot more interesting lyrics. There's a track on here about Planet June, for God's sake. So, a bunch of sci-fi nerds probably. Um, they are a band that did do the font thing, and then the logo's in here. So sorry, Marty. But anyway, there we go. The Second Moon. This rules. I've played this bunch. This is one of the later ones I got. I got this in November. Actually, no, early December. I finally picked this up, and I played about 3 times through so far. Oh, I'm gonna get thrashed over the years to come. It's so good. Oh God, I love this band. There's a third album too, Dreamweaver, which I've never heard. It's on the want list, and I'm not intentionally not going to listen to it. I'm gonna one day trip over it, buy it, and then listen to it. But if anyone in the comments wants to tell me that that's a bad idea, feel free. But it sounds like it should be okay. I've read that it's just getting a little bit more techy, a bit more experimental. That's fine. But here is like the sweet spot. The first one is great. It's clearly a necroticism worship. Here, I'm not going to say they're inventing their own things. There's riffs on here that literally came off necroticism. You can hear them, and you're like, guys. But it's awesome. I love it. There's a little bit of early Euro bands in here, like maybe a little early out the gates in here as well. It's probably the thing that might make it a little bit different. The fourth track, I think Heretics is a good example of that, where I'm like, again, like we were talking about before, a little bit of them Alf Svensson style riffs coming through. I loved Alf. But this album is amazing. Very keen to get the Dreamweaver one, like I was saying. And this one, I had to buy this version. This one came out on Ars Metalli, distributed through Rough Trade. I'm like, no, I don't want the reissue. Now, I would recommend for you guys that just want to hear the band or want to just get the collection of the stuff, get the reissue. There is a really good press from FDA Recots, Rekotz. It's almost 10 years old itself now, but it's got this logo on it for starters, and it's got a more horror-ish, monsters kind of cover that maybe it'll appeal to you more rather than this. I quite like this one though, and that has the first 2 albums on it, so that's a way to get it probably cheaper, because first album, original press on Invasion, hard to get. This thing even harder, and you'll save money if you just get that other version. But you get that for 10-15 euro. Shouldn't be hard to get. But this one, amazing. I had to get this to pair with my Invasion Records original, and I'm stoked. It's so good. Golem, The Second Moon. You don't need to be pathologist or pharmacist to be doing, gore grindy, but in that death metal style that they were doing, Carcass were doing by necroticism. You can have different lyrical themes and different presentation, and Golem were definitely doing that. Very happy to knock this next one off the list, and this one shouldn't have been that hard, but it kind of ended up being that hard. Morgoth's Cursed, following up their 2 classic EPs, The Eternal Fall and Resurrection Absurd, which I've had on a double CD, which is not that hard to get. Double CD from Century Media, I think. 25 years. I've had that one forever. Great collection of 2 EPs, and they play like one album, But this thing, an original Century Media press disc of Cursed, at least something that I could get relatively easy. Yeah, it's actually a bit challenging. So yeah, very, very happy to finally have it, because this thing rules. Morgoth were basically like a German version of Death's first 3 albums, mixed with the first 2 Pestilence albums, mixed with Asphyx the Rack. That's what Morgoth were doing. You get this album, Cursed, specifically out of it. Crushing grooves, very bouncy rhythms, Van Drunen style dry vocals. From a 2026 perspective, I can listen to this and go, man, this is great. It's just a breath of fresh air. I love it. It's amazing. I can probably see though, back in the time when this came out in '91, might have given out a, well, so what? We've heard all this. This is no different. Might have given those vibes, and that may be why Morgoth drastically changed and became like an industrial electro band or something. We're not going there. I'm not going there. There's an album after this one though. Same logo. I don't know the name of it. Can't remember. Tell me if the one after this is worth me bothering with. I have a feeling it may not be, but anyway, this thing though absolutely rules. Thrilled to pick it up. This is the 91 Euro press on Century Media. Great condition. Again, another one I had to change the case on because the case was pretty rubbish. Shiny disc. And yeah, there you go. Great stuff. We'll pop it out. Cover was always a little bit, I don't know, it's okay. Kind of arty, I suppose. You barely notice that there's gold foil writing down there says cursed. Very hard to see. Some more gold for you. This is intentionally folded over because that is the order form where you can pick up a couple of shirts. Yeah, they're going to cost you 25.90 Deutschmarks. We are pre-Euro. There's your your little addressed envelope there. Great stuff from Morgoth. Happy to add this one to the collection and play this one about 3 times through so far. So yeah, Cursed. Again, I forgot the name of the one that's following this. Let me know in the comments if I give a shit. But at this point, having the 2 EPs and Cursed, I'm happy as Larry. Alright, this next one's been on the want list for at least 15 years. Geez, it's been a hard one to get. I was happy to accept either the very, very original 1992 Lethal Records version or what I did end up picking up here, which is a 2001 reissue on Napalm with the bonus EP. This is Miasma with changes. We'll get to the cover in a minute. This is just so good. The band were from Austria, only really did this entirety, this material, the album and the EP. A couple of demos in there as well, but they had a very, very German, very brutal German sort of edge to them. Maybe even a bit of Dutch death metal in there. You can hear a little bit of the Swedish and the Finnish, but this is like, Swedish in the way Vomitory is Swedish, not Dismember, not Entombed. No. The German in this is just shouting over the top. The Austrian German. It's a few years later, Mangled Torsos were kind of in the same ballpark. Just very bludgeoning, but pretty morbid sounding riffs. It's not fretboard chasing wizardry whatsoever. Like USA's Order from Chaos was kind of in this world as well. Stillbirth Machine came out same year, 92. It's that dry and dirty death metal that's kind of got blown out heavy production. The guitar tone is nasty, absolutely filthy guitar tone. If this is a HM2, then it's been just blown out like Slaughter did on Strapato. This is a very analog, very just destructive sounding album. Huge crashing cymbals. They're just bang, bang, bang. They're the loudest cymbals you're going to hear in death metal. The tracks are quite long, surprisingly. There's 11 tracks on here. The last one's live, and this includes the EPs, of course. But the 4th track, Schizophrenia, which is probably my favorite, Schizophrenia with a question mark, is over 9 minutes long. Opens with like a full Phantom of the Opera, organ, very spooky, has a bit more of a crushing doom pace at the start, and then gets into they're mainly a mid-pace band. They never get into full blasting territory or anything like that. But bands weren't really playing this style that much. Not from the Euro scene, I don't find. Great. So happy to get it. Now, this cover, this would definitely win on one of the shittier covers. Like, it was never great. Like, the orange thing is that was the original cover. The logo is cool. Don't know what's going on there, just being very, I don't know, cerebral. And then there's the EP that follows it, and they're just like, yeah, let's just slam it in the corner. Oh, Napalm Records, what a cheap reissue. But this itself is very hard to get, so you get what you can with Miasma. The purple on black and white, brilliant. Can't read a word of it. There you go. Now, it has been finally reissued in the last couple of years on, like, I can't remember if it's the Crypt or whatever, but one of those, so just go get that. But if you wanted to get, the original Lethal from 92, you're going to be paying a bit. And you'd be paying a bit to get this 2001 version as well. Most of the time, I got it for a really good price, though. And I'm happy with this one, I think. It's original enough for me. So there you go. Miasma and Changes. It's a very brutal sounding Euro death album. Highly recommended. Definitely give it a go. This next one is another one that I had at some point and probably got lost in a purge. I don't know why I do these things, but I'm trying to be a little better with that kind of thing these days. Be absolutely sure you don't want the thing if you're going to let it go, or you're just going to buy it back a decade later. Which I had to do here with Cerebral Turbulency and As Gravy. I definitely remember having this in about 2000. But yeah, check Death Grind. Bit of gore grind tendencies, but a bit more mince core than that. It's pretty straight up stuff. The imagery, of course, has got like a, I don't know if it's gory or perverted, somewhere in the two. I think I can show it. I don't know what's going on, to be honest. Um, the white stuff is not what you're thinking, you filthy, filthy people. It's spaghetti. But yeah, it's got a sound that's something like Inhume, but also like Arsik from Sweden and Agathocles. It's just minty stuff. It's great. But there's that brutal death metal style in the tone of the production here and their approach and the vocals. Um, if Excruciating Terror were sort of more like heavier death metal, they probably sound a bit like this. Very monotone, deep gutturals, a few bizarre sort of intro samples and things on here that are kind of weird, but always good. Bands of this variety always do that stuff. The songs are actually pretty lengthy, kind of 9 minute long. Sorry, not 3 minute long kind of things, which for grind is quite a long. Some of the song titles are great. I think there's one on here called Dying Fetus. I think you know where they got that from. But my favorite one, and you got to read the lyrics for this, and it still doesn't really make much sense, but Born with the Crap. And something lost there in translation from Czech Republic. But yeah, solid, no bullshit death grind. Really great drumming. That's the highlight. Young looking kids. Look at them. Look at them kids. Just ridiculous. There you go. There's the band and the CD. I do like their logo. Their logo is really cool. We've got a pamphlet that's folded out. I'll show in a second. This came out on Leviathan Records. There we go. There's the inside. Not too hard to find this, but yeah, it doesn't show up every day. So there's your Leviathan Records promo for other cool stuff from Enochian, Ingrowing, Silent Stream of Godless Elegy. I don't know who that is. More cool stuff. There's a band here called Tarantula with a very experimental cover that looks interesting. It says Thrash with 3 exclamation marks. Sepultura meets Pantera. Okay, well, you lost me on the second one. Some other cool looking stuff. I have to do a bit of digging here. We know this one over here. What are they called again? Purulent Sperm Canal. Always great. So yeah, that's a nice thing. More on the back. There we go. What have we got? Ritual. Essentially, Death Doom with keyboards apparently. Sarath, Iskarium. That's black metal. I've heard of them. Cool. I'm gonna have a bit of a dig through those and see if any of them are worth my time. That's a nice little bonus. So there you go. Cerebral Turbulency as gravy. Just solid, no bullshit death grind. And here's a modern take of solid, no bullshit death grind. Certainly not a band that people don't know about. This is Lock Up with Pleasures Pave Sewers, their first album. I'd known about these guys forever, but I kind of never bothered looking. I don't know, the idea of this sort of nuclear blast supergroup, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that's fine. But I've had more than one friend recently actually say, no, this is good. You should check it out. Turn of the century stuff, like I said, nuclear blast. Very polished sounding grindcore. And there's a bit of a supergroup. We have Nick Barker, at the time, Cradle of Filth on drums, Jesse Pintado, Napalm Death, guitars, Shane Embry, Napalm Death on bass, and Peter Tagdren on vocals from Hypocrisy. Definitely supergroup. Basically, you've got half of Napalm Death in 1999, who in their main band have just dropped the pretty average words from the Exit Wound. And I don't know, maybe they just saw, the strings section of the band and the drums section, or it's the strings, isn't it? It's the string section. Probably just went like, can we do some grind, please? And maybe that's how this band came out of it. Eventually, a year or so later, they did that, Enemies to the Music Business, and they've been grinding ever since. But it took a bit of a kick there for them to get back into it. Maybe Lock Up was the kick. I don't really know. Barker on here is absolutely punishing the kit. He's always got like this British Gene Hoglan kind of vibe. Very, I'll say clinical. Like he's not a natural sounding drummer. It always sounds very clinical. But some of those guys like Gene, their stuff is really good. The typewriter double bass here that's doing 200 kicks per minute. Very snappy snare sound, and that's that very 99 production. Very clean, right? Peter's brought his absolute A game Howler Monkey to this one. The shriek's in here, but he's got that deeper growl too that he hadn't really been doing in Hypocrisy for a while. Like it's kind of gone back to the fourth dimension style Hypocrisy on here with the shrieks as well. And the two Napalm Death Stringsmen here are just bringing the riffs. It's really good. It's a very violent, ear cleansing album. Glad to have picked it up too. Pairs very nicely with something like Nazem's Human 2.0. Put them on as like a 1-2 punch. I'm very curious as well about the album that came out after this one, Hate Breeds Suffering, where Peter's left, and we've got Thomas Lindbergh, RIP, on vocals. So that could be good. Let me know if you've heard the second one, if it's worth my time. But yeah, still got the original hype sticker on here, featuring Jesse Pintado, Napalm Death, Shane Embry, Napalm Death, Peter Tagder, and Hypocrisy, and Dimmu Borgir, ex Cradle of Filth drummer Nick Barker. So yeah, 99. He was in Dimmu. There's the CD lyrics. Not super hard to find this. I mean, it is Nuclear Blast, but it's also not going for 10 cents or whatever. There you go. And neither's the one that's following this, so that's why I want to know. Worth the time? So yeah, Pleasures, Paves, Sewers. That incredibly... I mean, I'm showing boobs, but whatever. Hopefully no one cares. Pleasure, Paves, Sewers. Very 99, 2000 cover artwork there, right? There's the band. Looks like a necrophagia photo. Peter's looking very much unhinged. Good stuff. Lock up. That clean death grind from the turn of the century. Next up, I'm going to show two albums at once, and I'm very, very stoked to finally get these. Again, back in the collection, I had these way back when, and I guess I thought they were generic. Bad me. Oh, these are ripping. These are so ripping, and I was so determined that I had to get these specific original versions. There's a like a 2-in-1 edition you can get with a botched cover artwork. There's probably digipacks and stuff. No, I said no. I had to get these originals. The Abyss. This is great. The original Nuclear Blast pressings here. The Other Side from 95 and Summon the Beast from 96. My personal favorite too, but they're both ripping. Fantastic Swedish black metal, made essentially, it's quite funny, by Hypocrisy members, all rotating their roles. So Michael Headland, who was bassist of Hypocrisy since the start, does vocals and guitar. We have Lars Soak, the drummer of Hypocrisy up until the arrival. He does guitar and vocals as well, mainly guitar. Operatic vocals on this one specifically. You wouldn't have thought he had it in him. And Peter, the well-known vocalist and guitarist of Hypocrisy, is doing bass and drums. God damn, he's a good drummer. He's been holding back on that. He should do some drumming. It's like, they're all, the three of the guys were in a circle and just all took one step to the left. And they made Abyss. I assume that's how it came about. Maybe they all just said, like, Peter just said, guys, I want to do some drums. And Lars is like, I want to do opera. And maybe that's how this happened. And the Abyss, I mean, all recorded in Abyss Studios. This is actually pretty essential, really, when I'm listening to it. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic results. It's not, of course, far removed from Dark Funeral and Marduk. The Abyss Studios productions that did both those bands kind of helps that, but bit of a it's just razor sharp, right? And there's a little bit of melodicism, sort of like necrophobic as well. Like it's just everything Swedish of this time period, and it's more of it, and it's great. They can stand as tall, honestly, as some of the other things I'm talking about. There's your Secret of the Black Arts and your Opus Nocturne. These two albums from the Abyss, there's no reason why you can't. The second and third Necrophobic albums, right? The Abyss should be in the same conversations. And unfortunately, the project just kind of stopped at 1996, and I really don't know why. There's nothing. It's just these two albums. I don't cast my mind back. I don't really remember any of that. Why? If anybody knows why the band just stopped, great to know. I think Lars has stopped doing music entirely, but that wasn't for a while. As I said, he was doing the Arrival with Hypocrisy like another 10 years later, right? So um, it's a shame that the project stopped. If there was another album, the third one, that was as good as these two, that would have been great. But if it's just going to be these two, I'm happy because they're both, yeah, they're at least 9.5 out of 10 each. And they kind of don't have any right to be as good as they do, where you've got Hypocrisy members just all throwing instruments at each other and seeing what sticks. But it's just great. Pretty flawless as you're going to get for Swedish black metal. The Abyss, the other side from 95. Some of the Beast from 96. Take a look at some of the artwork. There's the back, Nuclear Blast layout. Always liked the covers too. There you go. And like I said, I had this. I had both of these. And geez, these are not easy to get. If you want these originals, Christ. There's the fold-out layout. I love the logo too. It's great. But yeah, it does say here, Lars on guitar and vocals, and I looked it up. Oh no, down the bottom here. Opera vocals on song 1 and 7 by Laszlo Zok, who, I don't know. I mean, is that different to Laszlo? I don't know. Maybe it's a separate guy. Whatever. But very cool. There's the inside. Disc. Awesome. And I do prefer the artwork on this one. So good. Don't know who did it. Has a bit of a dismember feel to it, so maybe. No lyrics in this one. Very basic. Yeah, it doesn't say. But great. Look, the last song on here is called The Arrival. He's always got his aliens in there somewhere. Good old Pete. So yeah, The Abyss. The back of that one. Both albums, just fantastic Swedish black metal from the 90s. If you watch the Metal Tag response video I did last week, there was a question on there about what's an album you want to get to sort of fill the gap in the collection because you collect the scum. Well, this is one that I already filled the gap, and I was very, very happy to fill this gap. And it's the last one I want to get from the band. That is Gehenna with Malice, original Cacophonous press here. I've always had and always really loved First Spell and Second Spell. Back when it came out, I bought WW, or I don't know, I assume it's just WW, World War, I don't know, when it came out. And geez, that was a very different sounding band. It was very death metal, blasty. I got rid of it. And post this one, we have Admirone Black, which I remember being pretty crap. Then there's Murder, which I've never even heard. But Malice, this one I did want to get on Cacophonous, and it sort of rounds out that trilogy. It's like you could consider this one like the third spell, and then you can happily just say, well, that's put a pin in Gehenna. It's way more pompous and symphonic than the predecessors. They were not like a dry cut band or anything, but yeah, absolutely amped it up here. Stormblast came out on Cacophonous 6 months prior, and it feels like it's rubbed off on them here. Maybe it rubbed off on Cacophonous. They're like, everyone needs to sound like this. Because, Balsa Goth happened, and, there's also, probably more interestingly, and again, another Cacophonous connection, there's probably a little bit of Psy Infidel art in here, which is one I also need to get. It's got, some galloping power metal drums and riffs in here. It's very of its time, right? This is not a, like the Abyss style sort of, hardcore black metal. This is not. This is that symphonic stuff you're either going to love or you're not. From the 90s, a lot of like Lord Belial, Kiss the Goat, Old Man's Child, their first couple. They parallel nicely here with Malice and Stormblast, like I was saying. So it's not the most ferocious black metal you're going to hear, but it's very, it's starting to get that, well, not starting, it's got that gothic element to it. You can, I'll bet you I'll find a photo in here where everyone's in like, there's probably candelabras and stuff, and there's black and there's a piano. I reckon I'll find one. We'll have a look. But the keyboards in here, they're very much taking focus. They're multi-layered, almost approaching Tartaros levels. They're quite there. The vocals, though, have a very good snarl to it. Kind of remind me of Ancient, but Ancient were never that great. The first album's all right, but yeah. It's perhaps a little bit too long at 1 hour. Give them that. Maybe you could have trimmed a song or two off. It's a long album, but it's still a really good time capsule of mid 90s symphonic black metal. There you go, Cacophonous logo. Take a look inside, see what we can. Oh, it's right there. Look, there you go. Look at it. Look at that band photo. It's exactly what I was expecting. Yep, you've got your female vocalist who didn't corpse paint. Is there a piano? Well, there's your candelabras. Look, I just picked it like a dirty nose, right? There you go. And there's the cover. Cover's cool. Look, silver on color. Can barely read it. It's got a bit of a nice shine to it. There's our band members. More candelabras. Oh, amazing. Yep, she just can't be bothered. Now, did not she pass away? Yes, Sakana on keyboards. I believe she did pass away maybe a few years after this, which is a shame. There's the band logo. And yeah, drums. All those candelabras. Try and look really, really grim, but there's a giant church organ in here somewhere. Feels like it. There's the disc, very pentagrammy. There you go, all of the lost souls falling into the abyss. Really good, but you've just got to like that symphonic mid-90s kind of black metal. If you like cacophonous albums, you're going to like this. It's That's all you need to know. If you own anything on cacophonous, just pick this up as well. You're going to like it. Gehenna, Malice. And lastly,
why must you turn my office into a house of lies?
and perhaps the highlight for me and perhaps for you, because this one's challenging to get the original of. And oof, yeah, I needed this one for ages. It was bugging me because I had the second album, but not the first. And I know what you guys think. I mean, you're probably the same as me. Like, you own the second album, you don't own the first. You get that twitch in your eye. You know, the OCD starts kicking in. Like, this cannot be. It's taken me a while to find one cheap. Well, not cheap, but well enough priced. Dodheimsgard, Chronet, Till Konge, who knows? Essential. Essential second wave black metal here. This is the original Malicious Records pressing. I was not going to accept anything else for this. And it is the first of the two good Dodheimsgard albums. What can I say about this? I mean, these guys were one of the Norwegian originals. They didn't maybe get the front page like, Emperor, Immortal, Mayhem, Darkthrone, even Ulva. They're probably closer to Ulva first album than any of the other bands in terms of like notoriety and that kind of thing. But this is a great trinity of players on here. We have Aldran on guitars and vocals, exceptional vocals. Fenris on bass, and Vikotnik on drums, who is still with the band these days, and has definitely taken it to a place that I'm not that interested in going. But here they produced elite, top tier black metal. This is just, again, like that Morta Skuld. Somebody comes to you and says, "Play me black metal." You put this on, and you go, "That's it. That's black metal." Explains everything you're going to need to say. The first track, the first proper track, there's an intro, and then some of these tracks are in. Actually, they are all, except for maybe the last track. Yeah, they're all in Norwegian. But the translation of the first proper track after the intro is "To Slaughter God," and it tells you everything. It's a mission statement of what we're trying to do here. I will hold that track up as high as like I Am the Black Wizards or Catharian Life Code. It's got everything you want in a black metal song. It is so, so cold and evil. This album's just... Yep, original disc, band there, just... Even the logo, like this just... doodling on the back of your maths book kind of logo. Amazing. There you go, that's it. Just lyrics, black and white. And pretty much, yep, all in Norwegian. The last track, When Heaven's End, is in English and has some English lyrics. But, and like I said, original Malicious Records, press number 6 on the label. There you go. It's just classic stuff, right? Absolutely classic stuff. They followed it up, which is one I've had for 20, 25 years, Monumental Possession. Bit thrashier in the black metal. It's a bit of a different one to this one. It's less necro. It's got that, definitely thrashier in the sound, which makes sense when you look at who's swapped in and out on the band. You have Apollyon from Aura Noir. There's your thrash angle. And I enjoy that album. I always have, but I'm afraid I really can't follow them I tried Satanic Art EP when it came out. Everyone I knew was banging on about it. I'm like, I want techno black metal, and then they got weirder from there. So Dodheimsgard with Chronet Til Konge, Essential Second Wave Norwegian black metal. So yes, it is sometime later, and I am wearing a different shirt, but I had to show these two other CDs that I just picked up because they have no right in existing in this country. I don't know how they got here. I don't know the story, but I went into Egg and they were there, and I was very, very happy to pick these two up. Slimline CDs. We're going to talk about the first one here, which is just outrageous. My God. Goddefied Abysmal Grief, the original Wild Rags Slimline CD. Yeah, so my Discogs wish list has had this one for a very long time. I never expected for it to show up. I have a Discogs wish list, that bookmark that I have saved that's filtered to Australia only. It's just so much easier just to keep tabs of things, right? And it lit up like a Christmas tree, and this thing was there, and I noticed the seller was Egg Records, and yeah, it all writes itself. I went out to pick it up, and wow, I'm just so amazed. This is a fantastic 6-track EP from Sweden's Goddefied. This is pretty much the only thing of note that the band did. Now, it's a bit of a minor classic, really. It was recorded in Sunlight Studios with Thomas Skogsberg. It's released in 1993, which is actually a little bit later, considering Swedish death metal. Like, you think Carnage was 1990, Left Hand Path, Dismember is 91, so 93 is actually pushing it a little bit. So maybe they didn't. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason they didn't do much more than the 6 tracks here, but because of that production and probably using that same V drum kit that was in Sunlight, it just sounds completely like you'd expect. It's no less impressive than like mixing Carnage with Desultory. That's the stuff here you get with Goddefied. It's just fantastic. 6 pretty short tracks. It's about 20 minutes or something like that. It's not a very long thing. They were a 4-piece band born in the ashes from a band called Enshrined. Then they changed their name to Goddefied, did these 6 tracks. There's some rehearsal stuff and things kicking around as well. I did have the compilation of this thing that was put out by Memento Mori back in probably about 10 years ago now, that had all the other things as well as this CD. But honestly, and I am sometimes a bit of a completist, but that's really for completists, that one, because everything else besides these 6 tracks isn't that great. The early demos are very, very rehearsal quality. There's a couple of tracks they did. They did a very brief reformation, not that great. Really, you only need these 6 tracks, and I am far more satisfied to have the original Wild Rags, the original classic artwork, the original logo. This makes me happy. And it's great. Like, as I said, this really is up there with all of the other classics. There's just not much of it, right? Beautiful condition, the Slimline Wild Rags CD there. These things are a pain to take out, so I'm not going to take out the but yeah, really great stuff. Contact by sending 2 IRCs. Remember those days, the International Reply Coupon? That's how you used to get stuff sent around the world. Sticky taping Deutschmarks to something. Anyway, yeah, it's great. I'm so very happy to have this Goddefied. And if you've never heard them, you're about to now. And the other one, which was again another Slimline Wild Rags release, and again has absolutely no right in being in a Sydney, Australia record store. This is Deathcult with Sodomy, Repulsive in My Ways, which I believe was 2 demos stuck together. But if you look up on Metal Archives or Discogs or anywhere else, there's no like 2 demos with those names. So I'm not entirely sure the history of that. Maybe somebody can let me know in the comments why it's called Sodomy and then / Repulsive in My Ways, because I haven't quite worked it out. But I've always loved this cover artwork with the big eyeballs on it. I've had a crappy download of this one for a very, very long time. Yeah, it was there with the Goddefied. I'm not made of stone. Yes, this was a band out of California, also from 1993, and it's another band that did not get past the demo stage. So, Goddefied did do those tracks later, but Deathcult, this is it. This is all you did, and it's a really, real shame because this is some very, very solid, oh, just pure death metal. Like in that, Obituary is the kind of bass with a bit of asphyx in there as well, from across the pond. But yeah, that real big, just chunky, groovy Obituary kind of death metal. Bit of Morta Skuld, Jungle Rot, that kind of stuff. That's exactly what these guys were doing here, and it's I just love that cover artwork. It's a shame it's not color in a way. Anyway, doesn't matter. It looks good. I think there was a demo tape version of this that might have been color. I have seen versions of it around in color, but I don't know. But yeah, this is really good. It's intentionally not very complex. Like I said, the obituary kind of stuff. It's pretty repetitive. Just head nodding death metal. There are moments that are thrashier because it is still very early in the days of death metal. There is a couple of tracks towards the end that are a bit more blastier. They're getting a little bit in more intense in there. At no point would I say it's death grind or anything like that. It's just death metal that gets some pretty fast beats in there as well. These guys really just sort of find solid riff or two and then base a song around it and just ram the thing home. And again, there's not too many tracks here. There's a bit more than the Goddefied. I think it's about 8 or 9. This actually goes for about 30, 31, 32 minutes. So it is essentially a full-length album. But it's a demo or it's 2 demos. As again, let me know in the comments if you know more about this. There's no, I didn't hear any production difference. Like there's nowhere, it's not like the first half is one demo and the other half is another demo. In terms of quality, it all sounds like a seamless thing to me. So yeah, anyway, it's great. The guitar on this is just sort of that, like I was saying, meat and potatoes. It's very angular, kind of mechanical sounding because it is a demo. The bass guitar is pretty loud and quite flappy, but it works really well. The drums have a real solid punch to them. This is not like the Goddefied sort of V drum kind of thing. It's just a big, solid, cracking kit with some double bass action that happens in there as well, which is really nice. And the vocals, very banshee vocals. He's going for, pretty much a good mix there between John Tardy and Van Drunen. That's really where the sound is. So it's just solid stuff. Like, is it A grade? I was saying this to Ben Brain Smasher because I let him know I picked these up. So, is this A grade? No, I said this is like B plus, right? It's up there in quality, but it's not up there, with the top bands, right? This is all they ever did. So you can't expect A plus, but you can certainly expect a B plus, and I think they delivered. So there you go, another nice slim line there. There's the band photo. So they were a 4-piece at this point, and and the back there. So just stoked. I did have to pay a little bit for both of these CDs, but certainly not Discogs prices. Definitely they're on the lower end of that. So really happy to pick up Deathcult. So there we have it, 15 original press CDs from 91 or so through to about 2002 or so, all across the gambit there. Death metal, black metal, brutal, bit of grind, it's all in here. Hope you enjoyed. This did take a while because I wanted to get a good stack and do a nice solid video like on this and get all the OGs out there at one go. So I hope you enjoyed reliving this golden era with me because it's just, look at that stack. So good. If you did enjoy, please like, subscribe, consider joining the channel. 99 cents a month. Click this guy and check out this guy. I'll see you next time.